and also I hope you can hear me. So today I would like to talk about human-centered AI. What is human-centered AI and how can we explore its potential in facial genetics? Human-centered AI posits that AI technologies should be developed, being aware that it will be deployed in the end in an environment with humans. Recently, great success has been made in facial genetics, which is the topic I will focus on today, with results that even exceed human performance. And so it's very important to clarify the role of the human. To motivate my talk, I would like to start, so first I have no conflicts of interest, but to motivate my talk, I would like to start with some headlines. The first one actually is about a revolutionary system by my colleague Peter Kravitz, who developed actually an AI architecture called Deep Gestalt that showed a performance that was better than human performance, which is of course kind of frustrating for the human. However, no system is perfect, and also humans have their potential, and we should develop AI technology in a way that we can exploit not only the machine potential, but also the human potential. So it's clear that AI will not replace medical doctors, but it may drastically change their jobs. At the same time, we observe that some physicians resist using algorithm-based apps, which is due to the fact that AI technology is not always developed with the human in mind. So what kind of AI technology I will talk about? So roughly we can distinguish between analytic AI and generative AI. Today I will talk about both forms of AI. Analytic AI is an automated process that distinguishes between different types of inputs. So here we identify decision boundaries based on training data. I have shown you here one example on the slide. So you see a couple of pictures, and the AI has to solve the task, which genetic syndromes do these photos show? On the other hand, generative AI is an automated process that uses algorithms to create, manipulate, or synthesize data. So here the task is to create new data points based on the distribution of the training data. Also on the right-hand side, you can see an example. For example, create images for Williams syndrome. So all the images on the right are created by an AI. These are no images of existing persons. So artificial intelligence has a huge impact on humans. So it changes, of course, the relationship between the human and the machine, but it also has an impact on human decision-making and also on the relationships between humans. And the question is, how can we shape these processes for the benefit of people and society? So what is a human-centered AI? Here you can see a definition I find very clear. So human-centered AI is a perspective on AI and machine learning that algorithms must be designed with awareness that they are part of a larger system consisting of humans. So maybe you have heard the slogan, humans in the loop. The human should be in the loop when we deploy AI technology. And the slogan emphasizes the need of a human taking care of the AI. And this is nowadays the problem. If we go, for example, to a hospital, so the care personnel takes care of the AI, but often the AI is not really useful to them. Ben Schneiderman, a very well-known human-computer interaction researcher, promotes a different slogan, humans in the group, computers in the loop, to emphasize that AI should actually serve the human. So in this context, it's also important to look at guidelines for designing ethical software artifacts. So here I have listed some initiatives, one from the US, from Columbia University, Data for Good, and 2 European initiatives. Even if we might not agree with European law, I guess we would all agree that ethical guidelines or principles such as fairness, transparency, safety, security, and privacy are important to us. So I would like now to talk first about a human-AI collaboration. So I already mentioned the system by Peter Krawitz, Deep Gestalt, which is a facial image analysis framework. So approximately 30 to 40% of genetic disorders are linked to specific facial characteristics known as dysmorphic features. And Deep Gestalt already achieved 91% top 10 accuracy in identifying the correct syndrome on more than 500 images, outperforming human experts. So this is nearly a perfect accuracy. So do we still need a collaboration? So here, an observation from a recent study with colleagues in Maryland, Ben Solomon. So on the left, you see a photo of a boy with Williams syndrome. And this photo was misclassified by 4 out of 7 genetics professionals. So most of the experts actually misclassified the photo, but the photo was correctly classified by the AI. On the right-hand side, you see the photo of an unaffected boy, and this photo was correctly classified by 7 out of 8 genetics professionals, but misclassified by the AI. So there are reasons for joining forces with artificial intelligence. So human-AI collaboration is important in facial genetics. So deep neural networks are the best performing methods in facial genetics, but also in other areas. But they lack, unfortunately, human interpretable mechanisms. They might not perform well on rare genetic disorders, and their results are affected by many confounders, including age and emotional expressions. There are more confounders, these are just 2 of them. And AI systems need to learn when to defer to the human. So there are situations where the AI should say, okay, I'm not very confident that I made an accurate decision. Here a human should have a closer look. Vice versa, physician decision and diagnosis in clinical practice depend on years of accumulated knowledge, which is actually reflected by phenotype ontologies. So we should not throw away all this knowledge of many years of experience, and physicians need to be capable of assessing the quality of the data and the AI model. And one issue with physicians is they might be subject to automation bias also in other areas. For example, clinical doctors with a low amount experience tend to believe the machine easier than expert doctors. And the important thing is that they need to learn when to trust the machine. So when you listen to politicians, you always hear the people have to trust the technology, but the point is people should not trust the technology in every situation. Rather, people need to learn how to calibrate trust in technology. So it's bad to be too skeptical because that prevents people from using AI, but it's also bad if the expectations on AI are too high because this leads to incorrect usage. And good explanations provided by an AI can help calibrate trust and mistrust. So to design AI systems, it's very important to keep in mind we do not only develop for data scientists or product owners, we also have different stakeholders, of course, the medical doctors, but also students, the patient, and also managers. So we have many different stakeholders and all need different explanations. So how to leverage artificial and human intelligence? So understanding the differences in human and machine attention and reasoning can improve the design and use of AI tools and lead to more meaningful interactions between clinicians and AI technologies. As I said, there are a couple of confounders, such as age and emotional expressions in human photos that might lead to wrong predictions regarding a genetic disorder. This goes not only for the machine, this also goes for the human. And so we need to find out how does the human work and how does the machine work and align the processes to each other. So, but of course, neither the machine nor the humans are talking all the time. So we have to capture knowledge and observations in a more implicit manner. On the machine side, we have a mechanism called saliency maps. And on the side of the human, we may rely on eye tracking. Okay, I would like to move forward. Mit der Maus, okay. Ah ja, oh, no, ich will ja nach vorne. Jetzt gehe ich aber zurück. Ah ja, okay, good, okay, sorry. So I would like now to talk on explanations on the recognition of facial syndromes. So one issue with AI technology is that we have interpretable methods that are easy or relatively easy understood by humans, such as rule-based models. So the interpretability is high, but the accuracy is very low. On the other hand, we have mechanisms such as deep neural networks with a low amount of interpretability and high accuracy. And so one solution is to make deep neural networks interpretable. And explanations in AI are very important also in facial genetics. Sometimes people tell me, okay, the people should trust the machine. Why should the machine explain what it is doing? Actually, I do not even want to know, because that it also means I have to take over the responsibility. So, but in the end, actually, the human has to understand whether to trust the machine or not. And a crucial issue involves understanding how AI tools perform and how choices are made by the AI. And it's interesting to compare these processes with human processes, including people with different levels of expertise. So the ultimate goal of using machine learning is to support clinicians with tools that are not only capable of recognizing genetic conditions, but also able to explain the underlying decisions, and in a way that the human understands. So here I just show you some examples of technologies that can be used to make systems more transparent. So well-known mechanisms are saliency maps to highlight machine attention. So here you see on the left a Kabuki syndrome, and Kabuki syndrome is characterized by arched eyebrows, elongated and wide-set eyes, thick eyelashes, flat nasal tip, and large ears. You can see here on the right with different techniques to display saliency maps that the machine is actually focusing a lot on the eyes and also on the eyebrows, not so much on the nose, and which is maybe surprising. And of course, because the ears are not visible on the photo, the machine is also not focusing on the ears. So here a different visualization. We have different syndromes, and here we created the average saliency maps per syndrome. What you can see here for the Kabuki syndrome, the machine is basically focusing on the eyes and the eyebrows. And if we have an unaffected face, for example, we have a less clear focus by the machine. So we were wondering how actually the processes of the machine align to the processes of clinicians. And to this end, actually, we tried to identify relevant regions in the face. And what we did, we performed a segmentation into relevant areas, such as the eyes, the eyebrows, the nose, the mouth, and so on. And we also created saliency maps using AI technology, what you can see here. And based on this information, we computed relevance values for specific areas in the face. And we try to align it with human phenotype ontology. So here you can see a couple of ontology terms that humans came up with to characterize facial genetics syndromes. For example, if we look at the nose, prominent nasal bridge or wide nasal bridge are ontology terms that are very relevant for many genetic disorders. And so we had three clinicians. They independently annotated 170 images showing various phenotypes. And basically what they had to do for 50 human phenotype ontology terms to say whether the ontology term is present in the face or not. And what you can see here, if you compare it with the machine, that the machine is actually focusing on areas where human clinicians found relevant attributes. So the study indicated which saliency-based visualizations and face regions are more consistent with the phenotypes of specific genetic syndromes. And the region-based relevance coefficients enable us to distinguish between syndromic and unaffected faces. And the region-based relevance values align with HPO terms labeled by clinicians. So there are a lot of commonalities, but one issue is that major phenotypes such as iris hypopigmentation, which require high resolution, might be missed in typical quality facial images. So I would like to present you another way of explaining the results of AI technology. So we already talked about saliency maps, and we did some studies with images of lungs, and we generated counterfactual explanations. So what are counterfactual explanations? So on the left-hand side, you have the original image of a lung, and this lung is suffering from pneumonia. And on the right-hand side, we have an image of the same lung, but in a healthy state. So counterfactual explanations transform the input image so that it would have been classified differently. So imagine the AI comes up with the result, okay, here we have pneumonia, and somebody asked the AI, I don't understand why, what would the lung look like if it was not suffering from pneumonia, and you got presented a different image. So here we use a mechanism which is called generative adversarial networks, and this mechanism allows the transformation of images between different image domains, known as image-to-image translation, and GANs are able to create highly realistic artificial images. So the basic approach is we have two neural networks, a generator and a discriminator, and the discriminator learns to distinguish between real images and fake images, and the generator learns to generate fake images. And during training, both networks learn against each other. So the generator tries to fool the discriminator, while the discriminator tries not to be fooled. And by competing against each other, therefore the name adversarial, both networks get better. So for the generation of counterfactual explanations, we used different mechanisms, so an extension, namely cycle GANs, where we have a combination of two generative adversarial networks to perform transfer of from one domain to the other domain, and vice versa. So counterfactual explanations help understand why the actual decision was made instead of another one by transferring images from one domain to the other. And there are some requirements. So the counterfactual image should be as similar as possible to the original image. So for example, we do not want to have here the lung of a different patient. So it should be the same patient, just in a healthy state. And the classifier should predict a different class for the counterfactual image than for the original image. And so the trick here was actually to define an appropriate loss function to make sure actually that the image is classified after the transformation as a sample of the other class. So we conducted an empirical study with users where we compared counterfactual explanations with saliency maps, and we found out that counterfactual explanations lead to better explanation satisfaction, to more trust and better self-efficacy, and also users felt more relaxed. I would not say that we actually forget everything about saliency maps, but in the end we should have a dialogue with the AI where, for example, users get presented with an image of a lung and a prediction by the AI, and then the user can ask questions, which regions indicate pneumonia. Then we use the saliency map. And then the user might ask, I don't understand why these regions are important. What would the lung look like if it would not suffer from pneumonia? Okay, this was on analysis of lung images. And because we have this project with Peter and Ben Solomon on genetic disorders, we looked, of course, whether similar mechanisms could also be applicable to facial disorders. And to this end, we could not use cycle guns, but a different mechanism, namely a style gun projection. And so here the idea is that we have a projection mechanism which allows to feed an image and find a latent representation that is very close to the input image. And the projection is done via an optimization loop using back propagation. I show you a first result. It's not perfect, but maybe it illustrates the idea. So on the left, we have an image of a person having the Down syndrome. And on the right, we have, in both cases, the counterfactual, which was generated by the algorithm. What you basically can see here, so Down syndrome is, for example, is among other things characterized by the almond-shaped eyes. And here the eyes were changed, obviously, in the database. We use the greatest similarity was with eyes that were closed. And here you can see the tongue is visible, but it's no longer visible on the right, and also the teeth have changed. So this is ongoing work, which needs to be improved, of course. So the next topic I would like to talk about is the comparison of human and machine attention. This is a work done together with Peter Grawitz and Ben Solomon's group. We conducted a couple of experiments. So geneticists, clinicians, and non-clinicians viewed images of people with 10 different genetic conditions, as well as 6 images of unaffected individuals, you can see here, while the eye tracking data were recorded. And we used different measures to actually calculate the attention divergence between clinicians and non-clinicians. We thought this would be interesting. And of course, clinicians and machine attention. So what you can see here is a comparison of visual attention between successful clinicians and non-clinicians. So here we present the average heat map of successful clinicians and the average heat maps of successful non-clinicians. Despite of some similarities, you can also see differences. For example, here the non-clinicians did not pay so much attention to the nasal bridge. And we did the same actually with the AI model. So for the AI model, I already explained to you the saliency maps. And when we treat the saliency maps as heat maps, we can conduct a direct comparison with heat maps of the eye trackers. And you can see here there are quite some differences between actually human attention and the AI attention. So the AI did not pay any attention here to the nasal bridge. Another visualization, so here we have the individual gaze behaviors. So the heat maps of 22 clinicians averaged over 10 affected and 6 unaffected images. You can see here individual differences. For example, here this clinician pays a lot of attention to the eyes, and this clinician pays, in contrast to this clinician, more attention to the nose. And also interesting when we compare the behavior of one clinician looking at affected and unaffected phases. So when the phase is unaffected, obviously there is less of a focus in gaze behaviors, because people simply have to search more for features before making a prediction. So to conclude this experiment, so clinicians tend to have different attention patterns than non-clinicians, and they also tend to have different attention patterns than the AI. And but nevertheless, looking at both, looking at the attention patterns of both clinicians, non-clinicians, and AI can lead to very useful insights. So on the one hand, by looking at the attention patterns of clinicians, non-clinicians could learn what to focus on, and also the AI, for example, in the case of wrong decisions, could learn from experienced clinicians what to focus on, and vice versa. So when I talked about that humans need to calibrate the trust in AI, and AI is not always correct, so we have a couple of confounders in facial genetics. So one confounder is age. So in a study conducted by our colleagues in Maryland, we found out that actually the ability of clinical geneticists to diagnose Williams syndrome and the deletion syndrome was influenced by the age of the patient. As a start, we only focused on a few syndromes, and also the saliency maps of a facial genetics AI classifier differed depending on age, and we could achieve improvements in classifier accuracy with joint training on both real and fake images, especially when including fake images showing age progression for the same person. What you can see here, the images showing age progression for the same person were actually created by an AI, and of course checked by clinicians whether they look realistic. Another confounder is a smile in facial diagnosis. So stereotypically, Williams and Engelmann syndromes are associated with a happy behavior, including a smiling expression. And this causes actually some difficulties for clinical geneticists and also by the AI. So if we remove the smile from Engelmann and Williams images, normally clinicians have more difficulties to identify the syndrome, and also vice versa. If we add smiles to a syndrome where the smile is not that characteristic, this might have an impact on the accuracy as well. So the last topic I would like to discuss in the context of human-centered AI is face anonymization. Of course, privacy is a big concern for human-centered AI, and there is a lot of work already on face anonymization, and usually the idea is to find a trade-off between privacy and task performance. So we modify an image, but of course we cannot modify it too much, because in that case we would no longer be able to perform our task. For example, to recognize a genetic disorder, or in our case, to recognize an emotional expression. And our approach is that we completely discard all information except a minimal feature representation that is needed for the chosen use case, namely emotion recognition. That was our use case, and subsequently resynthesize arbitrary information for the lost features. So here you see an illustration how it works. So we have an image of a person. We do the face extraction. We do a face segmentation. We remove the background. And then we extract the landmarks, which looks like this. So I guess your intuition tells you that the person is no longer identifiable, but on the other hand, it does not look like a human face. So based on the face match, a generator synthesizes a face, and we combine it with a discriminator who actually checks whether it's fake or real. And as I explained before, the generator and the discriminator compete with each other. So let's look at the performance of the approach. So here you see the original images. Here you see the images we generated with our approach. And here you see the images generated by competing approaches. And as a metric for the privacy performance, we use the cosine distance between image encodings of the original and the anonymized versions, and a lower cosine distance equals higher similarity. So the original face can be identified more easily, and basically a high value is good. We did not here achieve the highest value when we compare it to our competitors. But on the other hand, what you can see here, the quality of our faces is much better. Furthermore, another criterion, we cannot, as I said, change or distort the face too much. We still need to perform our task, namely to recognize emotions. And here results we achieved on a faces data set. As a metric, we use the mean class probability distances for the original and the anonymized versions, and small distances means that emotional expressions have been well preserved, and here we perform quite well. Only for happiness, another approach performed better. So in our case, most of the emotions were preserved better. Okay, let's come to a conclusion. Since AI tools for facial diagnosis are adopted in clinical settings, clinical experts need to understand the limits of their data sets and models, and explanatory AI techniques should help clinicians to calibrate their trust in AI techniques, and comparison of visual attention patterns may enhance our understanding of facial features and guide the development of more robust systems for facial diagnostics. Also imagine when you have a patient and you just present the patient the result of the AI, and the patient asks for an explanation and you are not able to provide it to the patient, that might be kind of embarrassing. So generative AI tools bear great potential in facial genetics. So data augmentation might help diagnose patients with rare genetic conditions or patients in underserved communities. So this contributes to fairness. And also generative AI might be very good for applications in the area of education, because we can modify faces in a controlled manner to achieve specific pedagogical goals or to personalize tasks to the abilities of the learner. And finally, this was the last application I showed. Generative AI may be used to generate realistic images to obviate data sharing and privacy concerns. Thank you very much.
Elizabeth, thanks a lot. That was a very clear